Hey everybody, good morning. I just want to say that your suffering is not in vain. It's not in vain. I'm saying this because Hebrews 5 and 8, it says, although he was a son, he learned obedience through what he suffered. And this is talking about Jesus. Jesus, the Son of God, suffered. We know what he suffered. He suffered on the cross. He suffered before he even went to the cross. He was beaten. He was mocked. He was teased. He was lied on. He was spat on, all these things. Yet Jesus went to the cross. He was tempted by the devil on the mountain. And the devil basically tried to get him to end his life. But Jesus carried on, and he rebuked the devil with the word of God. But Jesus suffered a lot. He suffered a lot of temptations. He suffered with intrusive thoughts. He just suffered pain to his body, physical pain. And many of us can relate, not exactly in the same way, but we're suffering through sicknesses. We're suffering in our relationships with others, our people that are close to us. We're suffering being teased and mocked and bullied and betrayed by others. We're suffering even with our own mental health, with anxiety and depression. It's so much that we're suffering with. But one thing is for sure is that Jesus knows all about it, and he can relate. So as I was doing some research about suffering, once again, Hebrews 5 and 8, we know that Jesus learned obedience through what he suffered. And the passage suggests that Jesus' understanding of and ability to obey God were deepened and refined through his experiences he endured as a man. Okay? Jesus came here in the flesh. He was God in the flesh. He is God in the flesh. And so he suffered the things that we suffered. He had the human experience like we all do. And that's why he's so relatable. And this is why he understands what you're going through. He understands what we're all experiencing. It's not a surprise to him, the things that you're suffering. And this is why he tells us to stay connected to him, the true vine. Because when we do that, we're going to receive nourishment for our soul, for our spirit. We're going to receive that strength that we need when we do go through those seasons of suffering. But also understand that suffering is an opportunity for us to grow. A lot of times God allows us to suffer to build our character, to refine our character. I mean, that's what happened with Jesus as well. Jesus was able to love his enemies, do good to those who hate him, and pray for those who used him. And then we are called to do the same thing as well. And so a lot of times we may go through suffering from the hands of others, but God is still calling us to obey him by loving our neighbors, by loving those who hurt us and do harm to us. It is a commandment from the Lord. And it's not easy doing it. And there are times when we fail those tests. We fail those tests. We surely do. But then God allows us to retake those tests. And God will continue to allow us to retake those tests until we finally learn to actually obey him. And we're going to say, okay, I've been here before. I know what the outcome of this is. If I decide to do this, I'm not going to do that. I learned from my lessons. I learned from my experiences. I learned from the things that I suffered. Now that I'm faced with this again, I know what to do now. I'm going to make the right choice. I'm going to say the right thing. And that's what it's all about. It's about growing closer and deepening our connection with the Lord. So suffering is not in vain. Your suffering is not in vain. It's there to teach you to obey the Lord. It's there for you to deepen your relationship with Christ. And that's what it's all about. So stay connected to the true vine. Allow God to create in you a clean heart and renew a right spirit within you. Allow him to transform the way you think and give you a new perspective on suffering. It's not bad. It's good. Suffering doesn't feel good at the time, right? But there are so many good things that comes out of it as you're going through it and you're being refined, and God is correcting you and reproofing you. He's building up your character so that you could be stronger, because there's a great work for you to do. And God is not going to allow you to enter into that work prematurely without the tools that you need, without the character that you need to do it faithfully and do it wholeheartedly. And God will allow us to go through suffering to train us in his ways. And so that's all I really want to share with you today. But be encouraged for those of you who are going through a lot of things, whatever you're suffering with right now, whether it's something, personally, whether it's something relationally with others. Just know that God is for you and he's working through you, and allow him to do the work in you. Okay? So be encouraged. Your suffering is not in vain. You are not alone. God is working in you, giving you the power and the desire to do what pleases him, which is obedience. Okay? Take care and be blessed.